Hi, I'm Liam. And today, I want to tell you about the night my world ended, and how I built something better from the ashes. The smell of burnt toast still makes my stomach turn. That's what was in the air the morning my wife Elena told me she was taking our daughter, Sophie, to live with her ex-boyfriend for the summer. Not asking, telling, she stood in our Seattle kitchen wearing yoga pants, and that cold expression I'd learned to read like a weather forecast. And she said the words that would change everything. Sophie needs her real dad. Liam, Marcus wants to be in her life now, and I think it's important. If you have a problem with that, we can talk to lawyers. I remember the coffee mug in my hand, how the ceramic felt warm against my palm, how I wanted to throw it against the wall, but didn't. Instead, I set it down carefully on the counter and said nothing. That silence was the beginning of the end, though neither of us knew it yet. It didn't start with burnt toast and ultimatums. It started 7 years earlier when I met Alina at a tech conference in Portland. She was a marketing consultant, sharp and beautiful, with a 4-year-old daughter named Sophie, who had her mother's dark eyes and a gap-toothed smile that could melt glaciers. Elena's relationship with Marcus had ended badly. She'd told me on our third date, sitting across from me in a dim Italian restaurant. He was unreliable, she said. Charming but hollow. He'd left when Sophie was 2, and hadn't sent a birthday card since. I fell in love with both of them, Alina and Sophie. I proposed after a year. We bought a house in Ballard with a small backyard, and a cherry tree that bloomed every April. I taught Sophie to ride a bike, learned to braid her hair, attended every school play and parent-teacher conference. When she started calling me dad at age 6, Alina smiled and said it was sweet. I thought we were building something permanent, something real. But the cracks started showing around year 5. Alina grew distant, spent more time on her phone, went out with friends I'd never met. She started small arguments about nothing, the way I loaded the dishwasher, the fact that I worked late, sometimes debugging code for the software company that employed me, little criticisms that accumulated like dust. Then Marcus reappeared. He'd gotten sober, he claimed, found success in real estate, wanted to make amends and be a father to Sophie. Alina started taking calls from him in the other room, her voice soft and careful. Sophie asked me once who Marcus was. I told her the truth. He was the man who helped bring her into the world. She wrinkled her nose and said, "But you're my dad." I held on to that moment like a life raft. The morning with the burnt toast came in late May. I'd been offered a senior developer position in Tokyo, leading a team for a gaming company I'd admired for years. The salary was exceptional, the opportunity rare. But it meant relocating for at least 2 years, possibly longer. Alina had laughed when I mentioned it. Tokyo? Are you serious? My entire business is here. Sophie's school is here. My life is here, Liam. So, I'd declined the offer without much argument. That's what you do for family, right? You make sacrifices. But that morning, standing in the kitchen with burnt toast, smoking in the toaster, and Elena's cold eyes on me, I realized my sacrifices had been invisible to her. Marcus has a beach house in California, she continued, pulling the toast out and scraping it into the trash. He wants Sophie to spend June through August with him. I think it's good for her to know her biological father. The word biological hit me like a fist. What about what Sophie wants? I asked carefully. Alina shrugged. She's 11. She doesn't know what she wants yet. This is what's best for her. And what about me? The question came out smaller than I intended. What about you, Liam? She turned to face me fully, arms crossed. You're her stepfather. That's always been the arrangement. Marcus is her actual father. Blood matters. Blood matters. Those 2 words echoed in my skull as I stood there, surrounded by the home I'd helped pay for, in the kitchen where I'd made Sophie pancakes every Sunday for 6 years. I see, I said finally. Elena's eyebrows lifted, like she'd expected more of a fight. That's it. You're not going to argue. Would it change anything? She studied me for a moment, then turned back to the counter. Probably not. I walked out of the kitchen, grabbed my laptop from the home office, and opened my email. The Tokyo offer was 4 months old, but I wrote to them anyway. If the position is still available or if something similar has opened up, I'd like to be considered. I'm ready to relocate immediately. The reply came within 3 hours. We have an even better role now. When can you start? I told Alina that evening. We were in the living room, Sophie upstairs doing homework, the television playing something neither of us watched. I'm taking the job in Tokyo, I said. She looked up from her phone, startled. What job? The one I turned down. They still want me. I leave in 2 weeks. Her face went through several expressions. Confusion, irritation, something that might have been panic. You can't just leave. Liam, we're married. We have a mortgage. You have a mortgage, I corrected quietly. The house is in your name. You insisted on that, remember? For tax purposes. Her jaw tightened. This is ridiculous. You're being childish. Maybe, I agreed, but I'm going. What about Sophie? That question hurt more than anything else she'd said. What about her, Alina? You just told me she needs her real dad, and apparently that's not me. So I'm giving you what you want. Space for Marcus to play father. She stood up, hands clenched. You're abandoning us. No, I said, and my voice didn't shake. I'm accepting the reality you laid out. Blood matters, right? I left the room before she could respond. That night, I slept on the couch and stared at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around me. Sophie's bedroom was directly above, and I could hear her moving around, the soft thud of a book dropping. I wanted to go up there, to tell her I loved her, to explain, but I couldn't find the words yet. I didn't know how to say goodbye to the daughter, who wasn't really mine, but felt more mine than anything in my life. The 2 weeks before departure were brutal. Alina told Sophie I was moving for work, framed it as temporary, a few months maybe. Sophie cried and asked why I had to go. I knelt down to her level in the hallway outside her room and said, "Sometimes grown-ups have to make hard choices, sweetheart. But I'll call you every week. I promise." She wrapped her arms around my neck, so tight I could barely breathe. "Don't forget me, Dad." "Never," I whispered. "Not possible." Alina watched from the doorway with an expression I couldn't read. The night before my flight, I packed a single suitcase and left most of my things behind. I put a letter in Sophie's room, tucked under her pillow where she'd find it after I'd gone. I told her she was brave and smart and kind, that none of this was her fault. That I'd always be her dad no matter what anyone said. I told her I loved her in 5 different ways because once didn't feel like enough. Tokyo swallowed me whole. The city was neon and noise and millions of people moving like water around obstacles. My apartment was small, efficient, a box in the sky with a view of other boxes. I threw myself into work, 12-hour days, learning Japanese, building systems and leading teams. My boss, a woman named Yuki, noticed my intensity. "You run from something," she said one evening as we reviewed code. "Or toward something." "Maybe both," I admitted. I tried calling Sophie every Sunday morning, which was Saturday night in Seattle. The first few calls went through. She told me about school, about the cherry tree blooming without me there to see it, about missing our pancake Sundays. Then, in the 3rd week, Alina answered instead. "Liam, I think it's better if you don't call for a while. Sophie's adjusting to the new arrangement with Marcus, and your calls are confusing her." "Confusing her how?" I demanded. "She thinks you're coming back. It's easier if we make a clean break." "A clean break?" "Alina, she's my daughter. She's not, though." Her voice was flat, final. "Not legally. You never adopted her. And Marcus is stepping up now. It's better this way." The line went dead before I could respond. I sat on my apartment floor with my phone in my hand and felt something crack open inside my chest. For the next month, I sent emails, texts, tried calling from different numbers. Everything bounced back or went unanswered. I sent packages, small gifts, books Sophie loved. I tracked them online. "Delivered," the status said, but I never heard if she received them. The unraveling happened slowly, then all at once. I joined a support group for expats, people navigating the loneliness of being foreign in every sense. A man named David, British, divorced, told me about international parental rights. If you were acting as her parent mate, you've got standing, especially if the mother's blocking contact. Document everything. So I did. Screenshots, tracking numbers, call logs. I built a file the way I built code, methodical and thorough. Then, 3 months into my Tokyo life, I got a Facebook friend request from someone named Claire. I didn't recognize the name, but her profile picture showed her standing next to Alina at what looked like a wedding. I accepted. The message came immediately. You don't know me, but I know you. I'm Elena's cousin. I thought you should know she's telling people you abandoned Sophie and ran off with someone in Japan. She's filing for full legal custody and claiming you're unfit. I don't think that's right. You were always good to that little girl. My vision blurred at the edges. I wrote back, is Sophie okay? I don't know. I haven't seen her in a few weeks. Elena's been weird, secretive. Marcus moved into your old house though. That happened fast. I leaned back in my desk chair and stared at my apartment ceiling. Marcus moved into my house. The house I'd helped furnish, where I'd painted Sophie's room lavender because she said it was a princess color. Rage and grief tangled together in my throat. I flew back to Seattle on a Friday in September. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I rented a car at the airport and drove to Ballard, parked down the street from the house with the cherry tree. It was early evening, the sky that deep blue that comes just before dark. Through the front window, I could see movement. Alina laughing, Marcus with his arm around her, Sophie sitting on the couch looking small and quiet. I watched for 20 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, before I drove to a hotel downtown. The next morning, I met with a lawyer named Patricia who specialized in parental rights. She reviewed my documentation with sharp eyes. You have a case, she said. You acted as her parent for 7 years. You can petition for visitation rights, possibly more, and if the mother's been blocking contact without cause, the judge won't like that. How long will it take? Depends. Could be months. But we start by filing the petition and serving her with notice. Do it, I said. Whatever it costs. The notice was served on a Tuesday. I know because Alina called me 17 times in 2 hours. I didn't answer. Finally, she left a voicemail, her voice high and strained. You can't do this, Liam. You have no rights to Sophie. Marcus is her father. You're just trying to ruin my life because you're bitter. The court will laugh you out of the room. I saved the voicemail, added it to the file. The preliminary hearing was set for early November. I flew back to Seattle the day before, checked into the same downtown hotel, and tried to sleep. Patricia met me at the courthouse steps wearing a navy suit and carrying a leather briefcase that looked expensive. Remember, she said, as we walked through security, stay calm. Answer directly. Don't let emotion override facts. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, wood-paneled and formal. Alina sat at the other table with her attorney, a man in his 50s with silver hair and a condescending smile. Marcus wasn't there. Alina looked shocked to see me, her eyes wide, color draining from her face. The judge, a woman named Hernandez with reading glasses and a nonsense demeanor, reviewed the filed documents in silence. Then she looked up. Ms. Chen, you're claiming Mr. Liam has no standing in this case. But he acted as Sophie's parent for 7 years, correct? Elena's lawyer stood. Your Honor, Mr. Liam never legally adopted the child. He has no biological relationship, and therefore no legal right to custody or visitation. That's not entirely accurate, Patricia countered, standing smoothly. Washington State recognizes de facto parentage. Mr. Liam lived with Sophie since she was 4 years old. He provided financial support, made educational and medical decisions, attended school functions. He acted in every way as her parent. The mother encouraged this relationship until it became inconvenient. Judge Hernandez looked at Alina directly. Ms. Chen, did you block Mr. Liam's attempts to contact Sophie after he relocated to Japan? Elena's lawyer jumped in. My client felt it was in the child's best interest to establish stability with her biological father. That's not what I asked, the judge said sharply. Did you block contact? Yes or no? Elena's mouth opened and closed. I thought it was better for Sophie to adjust without confusion. So yes, Judge Hernandez said, making a note. And where is Sophie's biological father today? He had work commitments, Elena said quickly. I see. And how often does he see Sophie? Elena hesitated. He's been very involved lately. Patricia produced a document. Your Honor, we have testimony from Sophie's school counselor stating Sophie has mentioned her dad Liam repeatedly, asking why he stopped calling. She's exhibited signs of anxiety and confusion. The counselor has documented this concern. The judge read the document, her expression hardening. Ms. Chen, it appears you made a unilateral decision to cut off a parental relationship that existed for most of this child's life. That's concerning. Your Honor, I was trying to do what's best for my daughter, Elena said, her voice cracking slightly. Then you should have considered what your daughter actually needs, Judge Hernandez replied, not what's convenient for you? Mr. Liam, you're requesting visitation rights. I stood. Yes, Your Honor. I'd like regular contact with Sophie. Video calls at minimum. In-person visits when I'm in the country. The judge nodded. I'm ordering a temporary visitation schedule. Weekly video calls, supervised by a neutral third party initially, and in-person visits during Mr. Liam's time in Seattle. We'll reconvene in 3 months for a full hearing. Ms. Chen, you are ordered to facilitate these visits. Any interference will be taken seriously. Understood? Elena looked like she'd been slapped. Yes, Your Honor, she whispered. The first video call happened on a Sunday, supervised by a family counselor named Robert who sat off camera. When Sophie's face appeared on the screen, I felt my throat close up. She looked older somehow, her hair longer, shadows under her eyes. Dad, she said, and her voice broke on the word. Hey, sweetheart, I managed. I've missed you so much. She started crying, these quiet tears that just rolled down her cheeks. Mum said you didn't want to talk to me anymore. She said you were busy with your new life. I felt rage surge through me, but kept my voice gentle. That's not true, Sophie. I tried to call you every week. I sent you emails and packages. Did you get any of them? She shook her head. No, I didn't get anything. I'm so sorry, I said. I never stopped wanting to talk to you. Never. You're my daughter, Sophie. That doesn't change because I moved, or because your mum says so. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Can you come home? I can visit, I said carefully. And we can talk like this every week. Is that okay? She nodded, a small smile finally breaking through. Yeah, that's okay. We talked for 30 minutes about her classes, her friends, the cherry tree that had lost all its leaves. Normal things that felt like miracles. The full hearing in February was different. Sophie, now 12, was allowed to speak to the judge privately. I waited in the hallway with Patricia, my leg bouncing nervously. When Sophie emerged from the judge's chambers, she looked at me and gave a small wave. I waved back, my heart hammering. 20 minutes later, we were called back in. Judge Hernandez looked at Elena with something close to disappointment. I've spoken with Sophie at length, she said, and I've reviewed the counselor's reports, school records, and testimony from multiple sources, including Sophie's teacher and pediatrician. It's clear that Mr. Liam served as Sophie's primary father figure for most of her life. It's also clear that Ms. Chan's decision to sever that relationship was made without considering Sophie's emotional needs. Elena started to speak, but the judge held up a hand. I'm granting Mr. Liam de facto parent status with formal visitation rights, 1 weekend per month when he's in the country, plus continued weekly video calls and summer visitation. Additionally, Ms. Chen, you're ordered to attend family counseling with Sophie to address the dishonesty regarding Mr. Liam's attempts at contact. Your behavior was detrimental to your daughter's well-being. Elena's face crumpled. This isn't fair. Marcus is her real father. Marcus, the judge said coldly, has missed every court date and hasn't established consistent presence in Sophie's life according to the reports. Being a biological parent doesn't make you a real parent. Ms. Chen, showing up does. Mr. Liam showed up. I spent that weekend with Sophie at a hotel with a pool and a view of Puget Sound. We ordered room service, watched movies, talked about everything and nothing. She fell asleep on my shoulder during the second movie, and I just sat there, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, grateful beyond words. I told the judge I wanted to see you, she murmured, half asleep. I told her, "You're my real dad." "You didn't have to do that," I whispered. "Yes, I did," she said. "Because it's true." 6 months later, Alina called me. Not about logistics or schedules. Just to talk. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I got caught up in, I don't know. The idea of fixing things with Marcus, of having the family I thought I was supposed to have. I hurt you. I hurt Sophie. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. Sorry doesn't undo months of blocked calls and lies, but it was something." "Thank you for saying that," I told her. "I hope you mean it." "I do," she said. "For what it's worth, Sophie's doing better now. The counseling is helping, and she talks about you constantly." I smiled, despite everything. "She's a good kid. You did something right." "We did," Alina corrected softly. "We did." I still live in Tokyo. I still lead my team and love the work. But I fly back to Seattle 6 times a year now, and Sophie spends 2 weeks every summer with me in Japan. Last year, we went to a temple in Kyoto, and she wrote a wish on a wooden plaque. "I wish my family stays together even when we're far apart." I asked her what she meant. She shrugged, 13 now, and getting taller. "Family isn't about who's related to you. It's about who stays." Out of the mouths of children comes more wisdom than most adults will ever have. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just showing up, telling the truth, and letting someone else's lies collapse under their own weight. Sometimes it's watching a judge look at the person who tried to erase you and say, "Showing up makes you a real parent." And sometimes it's knowing that the daughter you loved is safe, happy, and still calls you dad. That's the win. That's everything.